Hey, everybody, welcome. We are now on the first week of Renee's contest prep for the 2021. Super exciting. I can't wait to get her on the pro stage and see how she does. I think she's just going to be fucking killer. But we wrapped up I think it was like 21 weeks of off season now, which she's made good progress. I think within her picks, we really wanted to put emphasis on the glutes. I think we've done that, and I also think we actually have even brought down quads a little bit, but the main thing was really showing a glute dominant look. And I think that's what we're going to be able to bring to stage. So this was setting up her base plan for prep. So she had her last cheat meal, which was pizza and cookies. No big deal. Just wanted her to enjoy something before we dig down for this prep. Her show in the Bahamas, it did get pushed back a week, so she was actually 21 weeks out starting, but no big deal there. So a few things happened this week. So I did have her do a deload. So I wanted her really fresh for prep, drop off a lot of fatigue because it was accumulating. Like the beginning of the week, she was really drained and run down. And so we dropped her set volume in half, had her keep like 1-2 reps in the tank, and just keep her loads the same. So she still worked up on her top sets, but just whatever her weight she did her last week, she just pulled 2 reps off. And this week now she's like coming in, she's super fresh and feels really, really good. The other thing that we implemented was her lab work. So we got that back, and actually I can actually review it with you. Which let's start with just sort of CMP CBC. So she did train legs the day before, so I have to be mindful of that. So looking through these labs, starting with the CMP, her glucose is 98. We've been monitoring glucose. I'm not like overly concerned with that. Her A1C is still just fine. BUN of 22, so this is going to be related to hydration status, which her BUN, and also just a higher protein intake, because where does blood urea nitrogen come from? It comes from amino acids, because you have to deaminate them, and it gives rise to the nitrogen levels. So some people will be like, oh, kidney function, but then we look at her creatinine is 0.81, her GFR is 111, so kidney function is really good. So this isn't related to anything with kidneys. And if it was, you might also see like potassium might be elevated because the kidneys excrete potassium. Everything else is good here. AST, ALT, so these are her liver enzymes, which they're not specific just for liver. Usually these are elevated in muscle damage as well, and you'll see this. I have a creatine kinase level that we can look at as well. But they're like right outside of normal. So again, this is more training stress. We could also look at her bilirubin and her alkaline phosphatase, and these are normal as well, which are also related with liver function. Her lipid panel. So this has been an ongoing thing with her. Like she had a higher cholesterol and LDL. Her triglycerides are really good. Her HDL is good as well, like 50. And then that ratio of LDL to HDL is also good. But their LDL, this is something that I did want to address because we keep seeing it elevated. I think it's just a genetic component for her because she's not eating like she eats good. And so I think what we'll do, what she hasn't been on, was we'll add in pantethine and also 2 grams of plant sterols. So we'll kind of work on both sides of cholesterol synthesis, but then the plant sterols help with absorption, blocking absorption. So you can work in both pathways, adding those 2 supplements in. Nothing's outstanding on her CBC. Mean corpuscular hemoglobin is elevated, which is like the size of the red blood cell hemoglobin content. Not overly concerned with this one here. Her creatine kinase level is like like 4 times normal, which creatine kinase it's of course very much related to muscle tissue So this is because she trained legs the day before, and that also explains the liver enzymes as well. DHA's 146. That's a good number. I usually try around 200 is a good number for females. Our estradiol's at 197, which she was probably right around ovulation, if not luteal phase. Which these ranges are just all over the place. So it's not they're kind of have no value in a sense. She definitely did have a and what can be more helpful if that phase is progesterone, because progesterone's at 14. So you can see, like, usually around ovulation to the luteal phase, you have that big rise in progesterone, which she is. So she's ovulating. She has great menstrual function right now. It's normal. She feels really good. So I think those are the things to go off of if we have estradiol and progesterone in a good spot. I would say she is retaining a little bit more water, probably because of this estradiol level. I think bringing this down closer to like 150, maybe 120. I've heard some people throw out some ratios of, like, you want estradiol to progesterone and a 10-to-1 ratio. So say you had this 200 estradiol, then you'd want progesterone like at 20, or 100 estrogen, and then you'd want progesterone around 10. So and I've never seen actual literature like that backs that up. It would just be anecdotal, so I can't just put that out there. But she feels pretty good here. But I do think managing water retention, we could have her closer like the 150 area. But again, like, this is just a moment of these labs. This is day 21 of her cycle, so we try to test the same time. But you have females that their menstrual cycles shift around, and then every cycle might be different too. Because if you're coming from post-show or you're moving into prep, you're different body weights. Like, these are moving targets always. So you just kind of have an idea of where you're at and how you feel off your current regimen you're running. So that's usually what we're going off of. We look at the labs, we see how she's feeling, and then we look at the regimen that we're running regarding, like, her HRT protocol, and then adjust based off those things. So this has kept her feeling really good, what we're doing. She's been doing 0.5 milligram of Arimidex twice a week. I'm going to move it to 0.5 milligram every 3 days. And so I think that'll manage estrogen, and it makes sense going into prep as well. And worry about, Arimidex in her cholesterol levels, LDL levels. It's such a small amount. I don't think it's going to be impactful there. Her A1C was a 5.0. So we saw that elevated blood glucose at 98. Again, that's a one moment of a blood glucose. A1C gives us something over the past 3 months. So that's more indicative of what we want to be seeing. And then finally, we can look at our hormone panel. So testosterone is at a 74, which is high, but this reference range cuts off at 55. Where I like to see females is from this about 55 to 100. I don't want them going over 100. This is a great number to be at. It's basically being like the higher end of normal, what I would say, like a super physiological testosterone level for a female, just right over it. Any higher than this, you are going to risk virilizing someone and giving them masculizing side effects over long term. So do not go over 100 for testosterone on your females. Now, this is actual testosterone. So if you're using primobolan or nandrolone, that can test out as testosterone in these assays. So it's something just to keep in mind. Thyroid function, so TSH is a 1.8. I do want this less than 2, so that's a good number to be at. Closer to 1 might be more optimal. Free T3, we want that above a 3.5. She's at a 2.8. So we're close here. It's nothing that we're going to supplement with, but during contest prep, we definitely will be adding in T3 because all these thyroid functions are going to go down, like, regardless. And vitamin D is at a 69, which I like people like above 40 for sure. Probably 50 to 70, that's all a good spot to be at. You can see the reference range here. Optimal is 30 to 100. So labs look really good. Then we can check her pics. She is... these files are moving around me. All right. So this has only been 2 days since she's been on prep, but honestly, she already looks tighter. You can see like a little more detail in her quad lines here, right? And even her glute shape, like I think she looks tighter in this shot. Glutes look full. She's more zoomed in here, so it makes her look big. But overall, I think we have like really good like glute round. Glutes just like stand out this year. So and then legs, I think are a good proportion for what we want for the wellness division. Um, in her front shot, I mean, she looks a little tighter in her abs too. But I think all this is just will be a great look for the wellness and what we want to bring. As far as the diet changes to get her rolling on prep, I'll show y'all what I did. All right, so she had like around 1,800 calories. So normally I'd pull like 25% off. That would leave her pretty low food, but I know she's been like adding in little extra things, not like snacking or something like that, but like, hey, if I want some extra veggies with this meal, she'll do it, or she'll do some macro matching, which can throw off these numbers a little bit. And so there's just been a little bit of variability. So I think just that alone, like, hey, she's cutting that stuff out and she's going to follow exactly what's on this, will be a weight drop alone. So for nutrition, I dropped her calories 15%, just because I didn't want to go too far below 1 gram of carbohydrate per pound of body weight, which I did. But I know she can operate well and has good training still on this. And then on her, oops, sorry guys. Then on her off days, she's low, 1329. So it's a more aggressive decrease, honestly, because I want to get her moving and I can always add food back in. Main things were adjusting just her oats that she likes to do, like in her first meals. And then she had been doing 35 minutes on the treadmill, so I just increased her speed a little bit from 2.8 to 3, and then make sure that she gets 8,000 steps per day. Because there's been days where she's not hitting this, so that has to happen. And so that's where I'm making up that extra calorie drop from there. And there's no cheat meal too. So this was also her past diet. This 1,900 calories was with a cheat meal too, a big cheat meal. So taking those things out, like she's going to be down that 25, probably 30% in energy intake, and then some making up for that with expenditure. So added in the pantethine, added in the plant sterols that will help with ADL, LDL, and then the Arimidex was increased just to every 3 days. No changes on the gear, so she's just going to diet, just nutrition, cardio. That's plenty to start pulling her down, and that's the initial change. No change to training, so she's still training with 3 lower body days per week and 1 upper body day. That's going to stay in place for now. So that's how I'm starting her off. I think she'll pull down pretty quick, and next week we'll just see how these changes really play out, and then adjust from there.